So this video is when I built this. This is a snap kit. I made a previous video when I opened up the box, checked it out. These are all new from Aoshima. There's just a quick recap. Is there's like 3 of these cars. There's a gray, a white, and a red. They're molded in color. They are snap kit, but they're 1/24 scale. And they actually looked very good when I took it out of the box, checked it all out, and you'll see that a few videos back if you want to check that out. So what I did in this video was I took the car and I put it together just by snapping it together. There are some parts I did not use that are, and I'll probably call that out because I'm going to voice over on the video. Is my plan. We'll see how that goes. But there are some very tiny parts I did not put on because when I'm done with this video and everything else, later on I'm going to take this car back apart and then I'm going to paint all the parts the way I want to paint them, and then I'll probably build it, and then I'll put it all back together and build it again. So I don't know if I'll make a video of that. I might make a final video of what that car looks like compared to what it is now. I could have bought the white one. Both of these kits are, at least today and previously, are very inexpensive on Amazon. It's made by Aoshima, a Japanese company, obviously. When I paint it, I think, I don't know what color I'm going to do, but I may or may not stick with the gray. I may hit it with maybe some Tamiya white primer and paint it an entirely different color, or paint it red. You know, the red car, for whatever reason, no matter where you go online, it costs more than the white and the gray one, even though I'm sure 100% they all cost the same at the introduction price, but the red one I'm sure is the most popular color, and that would have been my choice, but it's more money than the other two. So for my intents purposes, as far as trying out this kit to see if it was worth getting, it's definitely worth buying, definitely. Especially if you're not interested in building an engine, but you want a modern kit, like you want a modern car, instead of building something from the 60s or 70s or 80s or whatever. You want something modern that you can snap together that looks great, not like so much a kid's toy. It's not a Lego type build, nothing like that. So, and you'll see that in the video. This kit does have decals, so that's an option. Like I say, I didn't use any of the decals. I'll save those for when I build it with glue in my way. I may not need glue, but I'm just going to paint the parts. There's also window masks. Now these are stickers, but they go, I believe they go on the inside. I have to check the directions again. But I didn't want to stick them on since I'm going to take the car back apart. Here are the stickers for the car. And I did use a few of these, like for the dashboard and some other minor things, which even if I repaint it, those can stay the same. This comes with a cardboard display. I did not build that yet, but that is included with the kit. So there are some small parts. Like I say, I did not add. There's a couple of extra parts. This one is, well, this is not extra. This is the clear covers for the headlights. But since I'm going to take this car apart, I didn't want to break these trying to get them back off the car. And they're not going to impact what you're going to see. So I'm going to go over some more of this probably at the end. Maybe. Actually, I might as well do it now. Because the only other thing you're going to really get is you get an extra nose. I don't know why. Maybe they're going to do a different version later. They look very similar, but the other, I want to say this was number 2 on the tree, and the other one was number 1 is what the instructions called out for, so I used the number 1. Although I think I might have put this one on accidentally, so they probably both fit. And there's some other small parts, like outside mirrors, anything small like that. The only issue I had with this kit was the seats. The seats are press-in, they go into slots. in the bottom of the floorboard. There's only 2 seats, front seats. Actually, I want to say the back seat is molded in. I wasn't sure it had a back seat. But when I push these in, the tabs are at an angle. You're supposed to push them in and pull back on the seat to lock them in place. And on both seats, I would pull it back. I couldn't get the seat to stay in there. And then when I pulled it back, it actually broke the tabs. So I would definitely have to do these in, even if I rebuilt it. I don't know why I was having that issue. I don't know if it was me or I was just fighting too much against it. One thing is you're dealing with a lot of black parts. And when you're putting black parts together, you need a lot of light. And I have light, but I could not see all the time where things were connecting because it's all molded in black. If I had painted the interior a different color, a lighter color, even if it was like a light gray or a modern color, I might have been able to see what was going on, but trying to feel it, push them in, and force it back, it just sheared off the nubs on that. So, but again, that could be my fault. That is the only issue I had. There are some parts, like this is a side rail. It's more like just an add-on part to the car, to the real car, and it goes on the lower panel below the door from wheel well to wheel well. These were, I did open up the holes a little bit to get this to go in, but at the same time, this one side kept falling out. Now when I glue it, it'll be fine, but that just kept falling out. And although I'm going to show the video and pictures, this is the final car. But I mean, it's held together. I don't see any problem. The front wheels use a plastic, spindle. So they'll roll if you push it like this, but they're not going to roll like the back ones, which you can just freely roll. So maybe if you put some kind of oil on there, 3-in-1 oil or something like that in there, you might be able to get it to spin. It does have the plastic insert that goes in the wheel like most Japanese kits. So I think if that was lubricated well, you could probably get these to turn. I don't know. I'm not going to play with it anyway, so it's irrelevant to me. I don't like my models rolling anyway because sure enough, it's going to roll off the bench, it'll roll off the table, it'll roll off a display case. Sooner or later, it's going to roll off and end up on the floor broke. So I don't like my models to roll. I did have an issue getting these chrome exhaust pipe into the holes, and again, this was a problem where I simply could not see in there. There's 2 holes in there, and there's 2 pins on the part. And just trying to get them lined up, to get them both lined up at the same time and get it pressed in there, took a little more time than it should have. I think I don't know how, I wouldn't really call this a kid snap together. I mean, if you helped a kid, if an adult was helping a kid to do certain things, it would be a good team effort. To just give this to a kid and hope that he could put it together himself, depending on his age. I mean, if he was 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe even 12, unless he has any experience with car models at all, there would be a few things that are difficult. Putting the window in, the front window goes right in. The back window and the side windows is one piece. What holds the window in is when you put the window in, the side windows have to be pushed into the out. They have to be pushed out into the opening on the sides of the car. When you push them out into that opening, that holds it in place. If you don't push them in that opening, it will just fall out. It's very odd, but it works. Now it's in there. It's not a problem. But there are some things on there that I don't think a young kid without any experience would be able to put together. I think adults are going to have a blast with this because if you don't paint it, you're not going to really be spending any money on it. And even if you do paint it, at this point it's inexpensive. I don't know if the price will hold, but right now for the price that they are, I actually paid about $22, $23 for it on Amazon. You can't beat that. And to get a kit like that, and it's a modern car, and it's just, and it doesn't look like a Snap from the outside. There's no oddball. I mean, it's totally, the body's totally accurate. So when it's sitting on a shelf, somebody would be hard pressed, especially if you painted it, they would be very hard pressed to tell that it's a Snap. So with all that said, I did this video, I put the car together even though it's a Snap as quickly as possible. There's no music on when I'm doing this because I personally don't always like when people put music because your choice or my choice of music may not be yours and it just gets annoying to you. So if you want to play some of your own music in the background, maybe that's the way to go. I am going to comment over it though and tell you things I was doing, pros and cons, issues I might have had, other things, just my interpretation of things in putting it together that would help you a little bit along the way. The instructions for these models is almost like 99% Japanese. The illustrations are good, but illustrations aren't perfect, especially when you get a diagram of something from this side, but you need to see what's going on the other, of course, the other side, and then you can't see that, and there's no written instructions, so some of that you have to figure out on your own, and I'll point some of that out. So with that said, I'm going to quit here, and then we'll go right into the other video. So this is where I started the build on the very first page of the instructions. For some reason, Aoshima molded the brake, rotors, and calipers in yellow. Although on the box, you can see that they are yellow through the wheels, so I guess there was a reason for that choice. This is a tree that has the spindles and the upper and lower control arms and front suspension. This car has a belly pan pretty much from end to end like most modern cars. And you can see in the instructions there, the chassis is upside down, and you can see that most of it has those plates already molded into it. You can barely see the exhaust and some other details, but there's no separate panels, it's already molded that way. There's no English instructions, so you have to look very carefully, especially like here I'm trying to put the hub and the brake parts together. There's 3 holes, 3 pins, you just have to line them up. They'll only go one way, and you just simply push them together. I only cut the parts off the sprue one at a time so that I was actually using the numbers on the sprue because I've never built this kit before. And being as there's no written instructions, I wanted to make sure I put the correct parts together. And here I'm opening up the bag. Has the decals, stickers, window masks, that kind of thing. The stickers have a silver part that would replicate the silver portion of the brake rotor. I did use these, I did put them on. However, as I mentioned at the beginning, if I'm going to take this car apart at the end, not on video, but I'm going to take it apart and then paint it and put it back together the way I want it to look. So I'll have to take those stickers off, but of course the rotors will be painted a proper metallic silver. But for now, you can see that it's just a matter of putting them on there. It was a little easier using the tweezers to at least get them close to where they belong. I wasn't too fussy about them being in the right place because it's just not going to matter, but not at this stage. Of course, there's a left and a right, and they do have to be mounted a certain way. It's funny how I've been modeling since I was 8 years old, but I didn't actually buy a set of sprue cutters probably until about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. All my rest of my model building, I never used them. Again, there's only 3 holes, 3 studs or pins to press together. And this is the second sticker for the other side. The stickers come off the backing very easy. They're sticky enough, they stay in place. Easy to work with. Although I use very few on this build because I'm going to assemble and paint the car at the end, and then once I take it apart and everything, and I'll be using the decals instead of the stickers. This is the center link I'm removing. There's a little bit of cleanup on each one from the sprues, but other than that, there's absolutely no flash. I mean, this is a brand new tooling, just came out just a couple of months ago. So there's absolutely zero flash. There's no such thing. Most Japanese kits don't have flash, but this one especially, it's not going to have it. It's a brand new kit, brand new mold. I didn't have to clean off those little nubs or whatever, but I was afraid somewhere they might, even as small as they are, they might interfere with 2 parts attaching or pressing together, and I didn't want to have that interference. Plus, when I go to build it later, they'll be ready to go. I can always go back and look at it again and sand it or file something a little bit better, but for now, just for speed, I'm just going to take a knife and just clean them up real quick. Now I'm trying to interpret the instructions because I don't read Japanese. And the illustration doesn't quite show you how this goes together. And I decided to hold off on that. And I would mess with the spindles and the center link and see if, well, actually the spindles, and see if that would help me figure out where the center link goes exactly. This plastic is very hard plastic. It's not a soft plastic, so it's very durable. It's not likely that you would, break anything right off the bat. At least not as far as pressing it together. I did have an issue with the seats, as I mentioned, but generally the plastic is pretty tough. So here I'm going to attach the center link. And by by doing that, I'm hoping I can figure out exactly where that center link gets placed. Because the wheels, you can turn the wheels left and right. You can pose them. So I wanted to make sure I had that feature. There are two studs that fit into two channels or clips. They can go either way, so you just have to make sure you have the left spindle on the left side and the right on the right. Mounting them wrong probably would, as I did this on one of them, it will make it so that the center link will not fit. So generally, you can attach it upside down, but right away you'll see that it's wrong because the center link will not work. And I know I did that somewhere down the line here. Yeah, see, now I'm pulling it apart. That's part of modeling. Try to interpret instructions, even if it's a blow-up diagram. This is what, there's no text. So it's just a matter of being able to, almost like an engineer, being able to interpret the drawings, which are very good, very simple, very good. And now I'm just snapping everything where it needs to go. Every time I would push on the center link, it would push it in the opposite direction. So I was having a hard time holding it still and applying pressure to it at the same time to get it to snap on. But once that was done, the spindle snapped on to the rest of the A-arm. And it's good to go, left and right. Somehow that fits together, at least looking at the diagram. But, and I'm sure there's a footnote there in Japanese that says to put one of the parts into the chassis first and then put the second part on top of it. But I'm thinking here that they go together prior to putting them on the chassis. So now I'm going to cut the chassis out and see. I'm just going to have to test it because the illustration's not helping me. Notice there is some engraving on the bottom there, even though there is a lot of it's the flat panels that the real car would have. None of these parts are warped. I mean, that plastic, especially on the chassis, that plastic is so thick, it'd be very difficult to warp it. I could see where if a youngster built this model, if they could play with it a little bit, and I think it would hold up to some extent. Now we're talking. Yes, I put it in. I think I put it in backwards. That piece goes in first. Yeah, you don't put them in together. Let's see. Nope, still upside down. Or backwards, actually. There we go. That's it. I don't know what the age group is, but maybe this is, maybe I'm not old enough to build this yet. So we're going to jump to the rear rotors and hub assembly for that. It's pretty much like the front. Just take the rotors off, put your stickers on it. There is a piece, the rotor piece that mounts through the metal, around the metal axle that goes through it. But the hub itself, you got to rotate it, and then it locks into position. Not tightly, but you turn it and it locks into place so that the rotors, the calipers, are in the proper position on the rear wheels. Or I should say on the chassis, because they more or less mounted a chassis before you put the wheel on. They don't necessarily click into place. It's not, you can still mess around with it, but once you push it inward and rotate it, it will lock itself into place. I'm basically saying that it's only going to go in one way, and then it will automatically set the rotors to be facing the correct position. I didn't realize that, but you'll see that in a minute. Because it seemed like there was a warning type little message in the directions telling you that you had to make sure that you mounted the calipers in a certain position, but of course I can't read it, so I didn't know how that was accomplished. But after messing around with it, I could see that that black hub assembly, you had to rotate it to get the calipers where they needed to be. And here I've taken out the metal axle. I thought it would press into the hub, but it doesn't. The hole in the hub is loose, and you can basically spin the rotor around on the axle. And I didn't quite understand. I never had a kit that was like that before, so I thought that was unusual, and I wasn't sure why they would do that. But of course, that's so that you can locate the caliper in the proper position, meaning it only go in one way. Because the metal axle is not tight in the rotor, it's not going to stay on. The rotor will just fall off, which is fine. That's the way it is. But that's the proper thing as far as the way it was made. And you'll see why here in a minute. Even though these are molded in yellow, they still have very fine detail. I mean, there's little bolts and stuff like that molded into the rotor and caliper. It's very detailed. I mean, if it had a wash on it, right away you would see all those tiny little details they molded into that. They didn't take any shortcuts on this kit. Even though it's a snap kit, it's not like a snap kit you would think of from the 60s or 70s. I mean, every detail has been done. And I think they wanted to replicate the car as best they could to make it realistic, and I think they accomplished that with this kit. These also have some pins and a couple of holes so that you can press the rotor and the hub together. It's not very tight. They can come apart, but once you mount them on the car, they're fine. So now I'm taking out the other two stickers to replicate the rotor finish on it. But again, these are temporary since I'm going to take the car apart later, rebuild the entire car. But this way you can see how it goes together. I tried doing that first sticker with my thumb and fingers, but the tweezers definitely helped, made it easier. This one I had put on and I wasn't happy with the position, so I had taken it off and repositioned it just to be better. I mean, I'm not trying to make it perfect, but it was really way off. And it would probably bug me. It seems unusual that that whole sticker sheet has like that chrome backing on it, all the way across it like that, because most of that you're not going to use. I mean, the rotors are the only thing that are really chrome plated like that, or silver. Maybe it just looks cool, especially being a snap kit. Maybe if a kid was doing it, the chrome would be more appealing. So you can see by the instructions there, it shows you how to put the calipers and hubs together and all that. But it also shows how to put the wheels together. And that's coming up. The wheels have like a satin glossy finish. Very nice wheels. Very, very detailed, just perfect, absolutely. No flash, nothing wrong with them whatsoever. And of course, being a Japanese kit, they make the sprue attached on the back of the wheel where you can't see it. This being a modern kit, all you got to do, if there's any nubs on there, you just got to clean them off, and that's it. Those wheels are ready to go. And I did scrape a couple of them off. The tires are real soft. They could be rubber. They're really soft. They have an excellent pattern on them. I don't know if there's like a left and a right or front and rear specific tread on the wheels. To be honest, because I was making the video, I didn't want to try to figure that out while the video is going. I didn't want to waste that time on you, because later on when I rebuild it, I'll take a better look at it and see if those wheels have to go in a specific position. If not, it's not going to matter. I don't remember them saying any brand on them. They're very low profile tires. I mean, they're basically a rubber band. They just barely fit on the, there's just enough to fit on the rim, and that's about it. But the real cars are probably a lot like that too. So now here, unfortunately, it's hard to do this through a phone and see what you're doing, but I'm putting in the little nylon circle things that go on the back of the wheel. If you've ever built a Japanese kit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those little white or clear plastic inserts go in the wheel, and that they're very soft plastic, and that makes them slip over the spindles on the model. So it's very easy. Just take the wheel and just press the wheel on. You don't even need glue. And most Aoshima, Tamiya, Fujimi, I think they all use those things, especially Aoshima, because Aoshima makes a lot of different wheels. They might make, oh, I'm sure if you went to their website and looked at their wheel, they probably make 100 different wheel sets. But because of the way they're mounted with these clear parts, most of them are interchangeable with all their other car kits. As I mentioned, you don't need glue to put those in. You just push them in. I use tweezers to do it. I've tried other ways over the years, but using a tweezer is the best way to get them started, and then you can just use your finger to finish putting them in there, like that. And that's it. You're good to go. There's that rubber band tire. You can see there's a little bit of fancy tread on there. And I briefly looked at them, but I didn't bother to figure out. There is a thin tire and a wider one, and it's the same way with the wheels. So the fronts are the width on the backs, of course, on a car are wider than the front. So you just have to remember that when you're putting the wheels and rims together. Tires and rims together. Very easy to go back and fix it if you make a mistake. Just take the tire off and, put it on the correct rim. Very easy. You press right in. No sloppiness. Fit right away. And even on their glue kits, it's the same way. The tires and rims are made the same way. So it's not just this snap kit. The wheels assemble the same way on our glue kits. So now I'm trying to make sure I put the correct front ones on the front and the front ones on the rear. I have pressed them on and then realized I got them mixed up before on kits I've built previously. Sometimes just the way it is, you're not paying attention, or I usually, to me, when I'm putting the wheels on, I've reached like, a goal in the build. I think other modelers are the same wheel, because once you're building a car model and you got it up on wheels, then you're like halfway there. And then you can start to see how it's coming together, because everything builds on top of that. You can start laying the body on top, just laying it on top and not gluing it or anything, or just the body, maybe slap the hood on, and just stand back and get a view and see how you like it. You like the stance, you like the way the wheels look, you like the way it fits. So once you get to the wheels, and the car's up on wheels, that's a good place to be. And here you can see that the rotors can slide up and down on that metal axle if I didn't have it out of frame. So I'm just going to I put one of them in the wheel, one end in the wheel. And I'll just get it in that hole. And then you just need to rotate it. And then it will lock into place. And that's it. And then you're going to hold that and then mount your other one. Here you're just taking the hub and sliding the hub on. You can turn it right there if you want to and lock it. And then just slide your wheel on. And that makes sure that you have the calipers in the same position or a proper position according to the instructions. I believe they face the rear, but actually in the instructions I'm looking online, it faces front. Maybe I have them on backwards. I'll have to check that out when I take it apart. I'm pretty sure the hub will only go one way though. Now here's the interior, which is, I've never seen an interior like this on any model car before. It's molded all as one part. And the door panels and the dashboard fold inward to make the entire interior tub. Again, the sprue on this model is very thick. Not so much the attachment points, but I don't know why they did that. It's just a lot of, you can see those sprues are humongous. I don't know if they did that just so nothing would get bent or warped, or I'm not sure. Just a little bit of cleanup here and there. The interesting part will be how to paint all that. if I take the model apart and paint it, how am I going to paint that interior? I guess if you were going to glue it, you probably could disassemble it, cut it, and take it apart. But I'll have to see how that works out when I get to that point. Now, the instructions call for you to use those red stickers there for on the seat to give the seat the design of a red and black appearance. Here I'm moving the gauges for the dashboard. It's right-hand drive. That's the only option because it's molded into the interior. There's no left-handed or dashboard. And then there's like a center entertainment screen or information screen or whatever you want to call it in the middle of the dash, and that's what the next sticker goes on for. I think I could peel those off if I go to paint it, and then just put them back on. But it's possible there's decals too. I'd have to look again at the decal sheet. That's a view, huh? Just put my hand right in the way. Very, very tiny. Again, these are black parts. I'm getting a shadow sometimes. It's very hard to see what you're doing. Just a little push, and that's it. Now the red design on those seats, I decided not to use those now because I will either use them later when I rebuild the car, and it's possible I might be able to cut around them on masking tape and use them as a mask, and possibly use them as a paint mask. And then I could paint the seats and either paint them all red and then put the masks on and then paint it black or something. I'm not sure how I would do it, but I decided not to use them on the snap build here. Which is not a big deal. They're not necessary anyway. There's a steering wheel and a steering column, like most car models. Those just push into place. I had a little trouble with the part of the steering column there because I can't see. You know, with your fingers in the way, it's hard to see exactly where the hole is to get that pin in there. And sometimes having bright light works against you because what it does is it causes a dark shadow when you're building. And I actually need to move the light out away from the wall. I may try that someday to see if that will give me less shadows in the future when I'm building. So we've got it together. We've got the steering wheel on there. Now this is just nuts. This an infinitesimal gear shifter goes into an infinitesimal hole in the center column. And you'll see that I spent way too much time. I don't feel like editing it out because I don't want to mess up this video. I'm not really great at editing, but you'll see that I try every way, and you see I'm using those, it's impossible to get my fingers to hold that thing, it's too small. But you will see the tweezers, it'll jump out of the tweezers all over the place several times, and it's a wonder, there it goes. And it's a wonder I didn't lose it because I thought, well, if that thing hits the floor, it's over. I'm not going to install it. And not to spoil the surprise, but I decided not to install it right now. I'll install it maybe if I build the glue version, because I may have to make that hole bigger for it and then glue it in, because press fitting it in there, it's just not going to happen. It's just for my eyes and the shadow from the light, it's just impossible. And there you can see it jumped out again. So I have a lot of tenacity, but there it goes. I have a lot of tenacity, but not enough for this thing. And if I wasn't making a video, you know, I mean, I'm trying not to make the video too long. So, but if it wasn't for that, then I would have jumped on it and figured out another way to install it. But see, now I've got to find it. Jumped out again. Probably thinking one more time. That'll do it. Nah. You can see me turning this thing all different ways because it's black on black. Just can't see the hole. And fingers are too fat to even hold it. It's just not possible. And I'm thinking, if a kid was building this kit, this is time for the mom or dad to step in and make an adult decision. There we go. You saw me put it in the tray. That's enough of that. We're going to come back to that. But not in this video. So let's see, what else? Oh, the emergency brake. This is pretty much the same story. You just can't see the small. It has a groove. It's not circular. It's just a rectangular groove that fits in. I cannot get my fingers in there, and you not got enough pressure. Now that I think about it, I'll probably use some tweezers or needle nose pliers. Probably would exert enough force on it to hold it, but with the tweezers you can't get enough of a pressure grip on it to force it into the slot. So it looks like it's in, but I'm pretty sure I think it falls out later. Now here's the seats. Beautiful seats. Those seats are perfect. I love those seats. I'm debating what to do with the red stickers. I'm just showing here that that's what these go together, and I'm pointing at them because that's what they're for. They go on the seats. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do an overdub of a voice on this video, but I'm hoping this is working. I tested it and it did work, so we're deep into it now. I did cut them out to install them though, of course. But those are excellent seats. I like that they're all one piece. I know it's a snap kit, but I mean, I don't know why there's two-piece seats in a kit. I've never liked that. And as a matter of fact, if you buy seats that are 3D printed, they're usually one piece. They're you know, to me, that's what makes them awesome. It's like, great, one piece, no nasty seam on the back of the seat that you have to deal with. No seam where it was molded down the side. One-piece seats are awesome. There was a little cleanup from the nubs, of course, but that's only because you're taking them off the spring. As I said during the front of this video at the beginning, these, you can see the 4 holes now and then from the camera angle, that these are supposed to go in those holes, and they don't just sit in there. You have to press them in there, but you can't press down on them. You have to push down and back. But here I'm trying to just push them into those slots, and they don't go in. Not at all. They don't even start to go in, really. And again, I can't see them. They're black, so it's really hard to see where the parts go together. And yeah, it's a little bit of a conundrum there. And it seems so simple. It's like, how many kits have you built where there's a couple of slots in the floor and you just pop the seat in there, even if you're gluing it? But these won't even stay in there. Even if you're going to glue it, they don't stay in the hole. So it's a little perplexing when you're trying to do it. Again, there's no written instructions here. They're all in Japanese. So I think there was a diagram there that shows like you hold it and then you slide it back. And somewhere I noticed that, and then I was trying that, and then of course I broke the nubs off. Which begs the question, well, how much pressure do you need to install them? See, now I'm looking at them, I've broken the nubs off. So I left the seats out on this car, and then when I go to rebuild it later, I'll just glue them in. I may even drill out some round holes and put some pins in there to hold them or something. I'm not sure, because you wouldn't see that. The chassis pan would cover it up. Now I'm trying the other seat. I tried one seat. Now I'm going to try the other one, and that didn't work either. So I decided this is a point where I would just put the sides of everything together. There are some nubs on the side panel on the back of it. I didn't know if I needed those or not, so I did not cut them off. But now at this point, I'm seeing that they're not necessary to put this part together. So I'm going to cut them off. But I really wasn't sure if they were needed or not. It was just better to play it safe and leave them on there until I get to that part of the instructions. Of course, once I cut them off, the parts pop right into place. And even though that was unique, I've never seen an interior that folded up like that and created the interior tub, but it worked very well. Very easy. Now we're starting on the body, which has already been pre-colored. I think this is the hood. The hood and the panel that goes on top of the car have a metallic finish to it. If you watch a previous video on this car, there's more information about the car when I unboxed it. But those parts have a metallic finish in the plastic. See, that was what I just put in the silver tray, was the emergency brake handle. It had fallen out of the interior. And this is the roof section that goes on top of the car. I built a Revell Ferrari kit, and it had a similar piece like that where it fits on top of between the front and rear window, and it fits on top of the roof. It was very odd. I'd never done that before. This is only the second model I've ever done that. I don't know why they mold the cars that way, with that part as a separate part. I'm not sure why, but it's possible. Maybe they're going to make a different version later, and maybe it's going to be I don't know if they make GTR convertibles, but there must have been some reason for that. Maybe it's the way the mold is made. Maybe it's a limitation of a two-piece mold or something like that. That part pops right in. It's not a big deal. Now this is the cowl part. It does have the wiper blades are molded into it. I didn't know this at the time, but there are two of these with the kit. So I didn't bother to check the number on this, or I would have known that. I just looked over and there it was, and I grabbed it and popped it in, and it worked. But later on, I had one left over. I checked the numbers on the sprue, and the one that was missing, and that one there is for some other version. Maybe they're going to come out with a left-hand version later on. I don't know. But it popped right in. It didn't need any extra work. As I mentioned in the unboxing, this is a curbside. There is no engine. So you see a big hole where the hood would go, but there is no engine, even though the hole is there. I would imagine that would make it easy to add an engine, or at least the top part of an engine, if you wanted to go that route, because the hood is a separate part already. I have seen some other Japanese kits that are like that. They have the hole where the engine bay would be, but there's no engine bay or engine, so to speak. So here I'm taking the rear view mirror. Again, that's kind of odd the way it's made. It has a little circular hole molded on the end of it, and that presses onto a pin that's molded into the front window. So you don't even, being a snap together, you don't need any glue in this kit, but that piece just presses right on. But I can tell you, that was like the easiest rear view mirror I ever put in a model car. It just pushes on there and you're done. You don't have to worry about getting glue on the windshield or anything like that. It just pushes on. And I thought that was a clever way to do it. And there you go, you just push it on and boom, your rear view mirror's on. No fuss. Sometimes it's things like that that make you realize just how far making a model kit has come, especially if you build cars, whatever you build, but if you build cars over and over, you're used to it. These are the masks that go on the window that make it black on the outer edges. I did not install those because, like I say, I'm going to take the car apart, I'm going to rebuild it with painting it and possibly using some glue. So I didn't want to have to take those masks off the window and reuse them, so I just left them off. It's not going to interfere with the way the window goes in. The front windshield presses into place. It kind of snaps tightly in there. Very easy installation. And then the rear window, which I'm probably cutting from the sprue off camera. And then this will be installed. If I was building this at the end, this was, I would go around it with a black Sharpie to make it look better. Just on the edges, not the to replace the stickers, but just the hard edge of the glass, which kind of takes away the toy look of it. Now here I'm trying to fit it in, and it will go in, but it will not stay. And it's not clicking or anything like that into place. And then I started to realize that I needed to press the side windows into the frames themselves. They go in there very tight, but they do go in. And by putting those in, that's what holds it in place. And I'm pretty sure it might be difficult for a youngster to do this, and I'm pretty sure that's a step where a parent would have to probably step in and help. Again, I can't read the instructions, so I'm just figuring that out from looking at the pictures. I got lucky that that was the way it was. These are two air type panels, or I don't know what you would call them, but aerodynamic panel, or maybe it's just for looks. They go along the bottom of the body between the wheel wells, below the doors. There's 3 holes and 3 pins. I could usually get 1 or 2 pins in, but I had a hard time getting all 3 of them in there. And actually the middle hole I opened up a little bit with a knife, and you'll see that in a minute, just so it would stay on. If I was going to glue this, it'd be a piece of cake, but I was trying to get it to stay on by itself, but either side didn't really want to work with me there. And on both sides I took my knife blade and opened up the middle hole just a little, and that seemed to help, although one of these fell off later. So not a big deal. I know I'm going to rebuild it. I'm trying not to use any glue. I wanted to show how this model is assembled as a snap kit, so I purposely didn't use any glue. I'd rather leave the part off than to glue it on and show it, being glued on. I mean, you should be able to build this kit without glue. And there I just opened up the middle hole, and I believe I've got it so now that I can at least get 2 pins in there to at least hold it on by itself. And it seems to have worked temporarily. Again, you can see how the window, the rear window and the side windows are still, even though I'm handling the car, they still stayed in. So once you get them in there, they work very well. It's not likely, unless you grab the car and push the side windows in real hard, like a child might do that if he was playing with it. I'm not sure. Of course, you'd have to take the whole thing up, or well, you'd have to separate the body from the chassis in order to put the window back in. Probably not a big deal. Here I'm doing the other side. I think I opened up the same hole, the middle hole. This body has a beautiful color to it. It's like a bluish gray. It's consistent color throughout the plastic. There's no swirls in it. There's no markings in it. No pools or puddles of like some areas that may have more pigment than another. It's, from what I remember, it was perfect from bumper to bumper. So however they're making that nowadays, they're making those bodies like that with the colored plastic. It worked perfectly. And again, that makes this look more and more like a real car when you're finished with it. Less than a toy, not like your standard snap together. This is a small part that just goes on the body by the fender, but it's tedious to install, and I decided to leave it off because I didn't want to lose it, because it didn't really want to stay in the groove, and if I lost it, it'd be very hard to replicate, and it's not impossible. So I decided to just leave it off. As a matter of fact, I didn't even take the other side. I didn't take the other one off the sprue. I just left them on the sprue. I think here I'm going to give it a couple of tries, but it didn't want to stay in by itself. At least I couldn't get it to right away. There I decided, let's not break it. let's put that off. So now I'm checking the instructions to see where I go from here. Now here's one of the front nose panels. There are 2 with the kit, so you have to check the number on the sprue tree, and the instructions. Make sure you use the right one. I think I test fitted both of them. I don't know if I did it on camera or not, but I think both of them will fit, and there's not much difference between them. I mean, one of them has the one that they tell you to put on the car has a placement, has 2 holes so that you can put a license plate on the front. And I believe the other one is exactly the same, or very close to it. It just doesn't have a place for the license plate. So I'm not real sure why they did that, but as you can see, it pops right in. Looks awesome. Makes it, you know, it's a GTR look for sure. This is a NISMO version, as a matter of fact. NISMO being the performance version of Nissan's motorsport and parts and stuff like that. Kind of like Toyota's TRD, Toyota Racing Development. NISMO is a very similar idea for Nissan. So I'm probably cutting something off the sprue. Oh, is this, did I test fit that? No, now see, I noticed in the instructions it was telling you to put the license plate on there, and there's no way to put a license plate on the other one. So I swapped them. This one allows you to put the license plate on it, which I wanted, because I believe there's a NISMO license plate tag for that, and I definitely wanted to put that on the car. There's the plate. And it just pushes in, no problem. Very easy. I want to guess that the bluish gray that they used to make this car probably replicates a factory color. I don't know for sure, I didn't look it up. I may look it up when I go to rebuild it. I probably could get that from like Splash Paints or something. If that's an option, I may look into that in trying to decide what color to paint it. I have another color in mind, but I still might look it up. It probably says in the instructions, but I don't know if it's going to say that in English. I think right there is when I noticed that the cowling, I saw that there was another cowling on the tree. But I couldn't get the other one off right away, so I said, well, I'll just skip that because they look very similar. And I didn't want to hold up the video. It's getting kind of long already. So these are one of the few chrome parts, which replicates the front headlights. I did have a few seconds of figuring out how to get that in there, but once I figured it out and I popped it into place, it snapped right in, and it was flush, and it looked great. It was just a matter of trying to figure out how it actually went in there. You're not going to see that chrome beam piece that connects them. That's going to be covered by the hood. We're almost there. So this is the chrome backing piece for the rear lights, tail lights. Now they do give you red clear plastic to replicate the tail lights. However, they also give you the same thing molded in clear if you prefer to use like clear red to paint your own. You could do that also, but they do give you that part. These two snap together. I think I'm trying to do it upside down there. As soon as my brain gets into gear and I flip it over, it will snap together. There we go. Can't beat it. Snap parts. Love it. It also goes right in too. You just put it in the back, and once you figure out where it goes, it just pops right in there. Looks good from the back. Nice. There are clear covers for the headlights, but again, I didn't install those because I didn't want to scratch them or break them trying to get them off the car so that I could rebuild it at the end. So I just left them off temporarily for now. So right now I think there's a piece for there's a wing, that's right. You know, I've put a lot of wings on model cars before, but this has to be the easiest and best engineered wing I ever put on a model car. You'll see why here, because it's simple two parts, no glue, and it fits better than most wings that have, you use glue on. And right now, I think I'm looking for the part that attaches to the trunk, because it's an oddball, it's an odd shape. And here I'm cutting it loose now that I found it. But yeah, it's definitely light years ahead of any other wing I've attached. Just a little bit of cleanup to go. That's about it. Make sure just need to make sure I don't put it in upside down or in the wrong way. You can see there's two slots in the deck lid or trunk lid, and it just pushes right in there. Boom. That's it. And that's a strong piece of plastic. It's probably a little thick for not necessarily being in scale. Hard to say. So now I've got to put the interior and attach that to the chassis. There's 4 pins and 4 holes on the bottom of the interior. Again, it's a matter of seeing black on black, but once you get them lined up and push on it, you're pretty much done. They should attach with no problem. There we go. Easy peasy. Time to put the body on. It didn't really seem like there was a, do the front or rear first. It didn't really specify that. So I just kind of pushed it straight down to see what would happen. And the back popped into place, and then the front here, you just push on it, it clicked and it popped into place. And that was it. I was surprised. I was like, wow, that was easy. It's called engineering. The hood is a tight fit. You got to, there's like 4 tabs on it. So you got to get all 4 tabs to work in harmony there. But once you press it into place, it's fine. It actually would probably be a lot harder to get off than it was to get on. Again, it has a metallic finish to it. It's not the same color as the rest of the blue body, blue-gray. So it snaps into place, push it in the front, click, that's it. What else we got? Here's the wing. So we've already put the support for the wing in there. One piece snaps on, and then the wing just snaps onto it. And that's it, downtown. I don't think you'll ever attach a wing to a car that easy. No trying to get it straight, no getting glue all over the trunk area trying to find it. You don't have to worry about getting it centered. You know what I mean? So here's like the rear panel that goes on the back of the car. It's almost like a diffuser, but it's not quite low enough, so I think it's just a decorative panel to kind of match the front of the car as far as from a design view. I'm trying to make sure that I'm going to put it on, I don't put it on upside down, so now I gotta flip it over. And I actually looked at that part and I was like, I'm not sure how that's going to go on, and it popped right on. So I didn't have any issue with it at all. You saw how fast it happened. It just went right on. I didn't have to mess. I was afraid the chassis would interfere with it. You know, a lot of models you got to put things on the back like that, and the chassis pan's too high, too low, or there's something in the way. That thing popped right on. So here's the exhaust. I did have trouble getting these in because it was impossible for me to see the holes where the chrome parts has 2 pins in it, and then there are 2 holes, and I just had a tough time trying to get them to fall into place. And I thought about leaving them off, but I just kept going and going, and it didn't seem like there was a right and a left. They seem to be the same. They only, I want to say one of the holes might be bigger or smaller than the other, meaning they'll only go in one way. And here you see me, I'm trying to figure, I can't even see the holes in there. It's so dark with all the black plastic. Again, I'm still handling this car pretty rough, and there's no parts falling off as far as the windows or whatever. It's staying together even though I'm handling it, which is a good thing. Yeah, these things were tedious. I would almost, if it was possible, I would remove the pins off the back of it and glue it in place. You wouldn't even need the holes. And I think I got one side in, so now I'm figuring, well, and it can be done, so I might as well do the other one. But you know, there's always going to be a part on a model that's just not going to be easy. But I guess I figured it out because I got them both on. And there's the back of the car. And it's looking good. It's a great looking model. It's a great looking car. You can see where the hood and the roof panel are a different shade. They're not black, they're just a darker blue with a metallic finish on the plastic. So we're going to get that out of the way just for a second there. And I already mentioned the parts I left off, but those are the clear covers that go on the front headlights. And again, I left those off just so that I wouldn't mess them up trying to take the car apart. I'm not going to take it apart on camera. When I go to build it, I might take a few videos here and there, but I'm not going to do it all the way through like this one. I just wanted to show, there's the side mirrors, which I left off. That's the other cowling, which according to the instructions in the numbering system is the one I need. There's some other minor side parts that I left off so that I don't break them later, and there was the extra grill. Although now I'm looking at it, it looked like it had the 2 holes for the plate, so I'm not sure what the difference is. Those are the chrome inserts for the side view mirrors. Again, that's a small tiny part for the door. This kit, as I mentioned in the unboxing, comes with it's cardboard and you fold it out and it makes a display for the car. And I didn't want to take, the video was going long, I didn't want to take time to put this together in the video, but I did want to show that it did come with the kit. And I'm sure once it's all folded together, and I will build it, I will put it together, it should look pretty cool. And then I was just checking the instructions. Now that sheet there is telling you where to put all the decals. So if you do build one with decals, they do help you with that as far as telling you placement. And the fact that they give you decals, they know that there's going to be car modelers, so they're going to paint